So Nas just released his new album Nasir June 15th. It has 7 songs and it runs for 27 minutes. On the album cover, we see 5 African American boys standing up against a wall, or should I say standing up against a brick wall with their hands and arms raised. 2 of the 5 boys are holding submachine guns, which speaks to the environment that the kids come from. And it's a black and white photo, and the photo suggests that the album will address issues dealing with police brutality, because as you know, Nas, his albums are very conceptual, so this picture speaks 1,000 words to the content that you will hear on it. But anyways, moving on, standouts, we have Not For Radio featuring Puff Daddy and 070 Shake. Nas speaks on slavery, religion, and politics. He also drops the knowledge. He says, "Hoot the ballot box, no voter cards, they all frauds." And he's speaking to the voter fraud that's been going on throughout the states. He says, "Bruh, Senegal's finest, minerals, diamonds. The earth is cursed, but I'll survive many climates. And the minerals and diamonds is a reference to Africa's natural resources that's been mined and taken, from them." And then he says, "To Catholics, Moors, and Masons, motherfuckers, John Hanson was not the first black president to make it. Abe Lincoln did not free the enslaved. Progress is made because we forced a proclamation." And basically, the proclamation refers to the Emancipation Proclamation, which was signed by Abraham Lincoln to quote unquote end slavery, but that wasn't really the case. It was more or less done because of I believe the North envied the South because they had more slaves, and more slaves mean more money, so they wanted that to be ended, and then that's how the Civil War came. So, and then he says, "Fuck your proclamation. SWAT was created to stop the Panthers." And he's speaking about the Black Panther movement, which was one of the biggest black forces in America in terms of fighting for black rights and equality. And then it says, "Glocks were created for murder, enhancement for hunting man, circumstances. Edgar Hoover was black. Willie Lynch was a myth." I didn't know Edgar Hoover was black, if he was. And then he says Willie Lynch was a myth. Colombians created crack, which, that makes a lot of sense because, Pablo Escobar and all that stuff. And then he said, "The government made stacks. Welcome to America," which is true. The government bought drugs from Colombia and other places and brought them into America and dropped them off in poor neighborhoods, which led to an increase on, arresting people of color and stuff like that. And then he says, "Niggas, Reagan had Alzheimer's," which is, a brain disorder where you start to lose your memory and whatnot. And then he says, "That's true. Fox News was started by a black dude." Also true, which I didn't know that. I didn't know Fox News was started by a black dude. So here you can already see he's dropping some jewels on his listeners. And then we have track 4, Bonjour, featuring Tony Williams. It's a record about lust, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. He says, "How many girls pre-bait right before they date so she can have restraint?" And pre-bait meaning to masturbate before going on a date, so they're not inclined to want to sleep with the man. She still gets slayed. Bonjour, she still get, piped down by the dude. That's ill behavior. Want the whip matted, want her ass the fattest. Beat it. Thriller, jacket a street metaphor. If your dog piss on the floor, put his nose in it. Check these niggas from the door. And so basically this is another song on a album that speaks to one of the 7 deadly sins. And that's basically the consistent theme throughout the album. Each song, which there's 7, represents one of the 7 deadly sins, which I thought is pretty interesting. And then we have Everything featuring The Dream. It's a record about having all that you need and still wanting more, which is greed basically. And then we have Simple Things. He says, Never sold a record for the beat. It's my verses they purchase without production. I'm worthless, but I'm more than the surface. Want me to sound like every song on the top 40? I'm not for you. You not for me. You bore me. And basically he's speaking to the climate of music nowadays, how everybody come out sounding the same, looking the same, and rapping the same basically. And he's saying he's not he's cut from a different cloth, to whereas he rather stand out and do his own thing rather than being lumped in with the crowd, which is true for most lyricists. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have track 2, Cop Shot the Kid featuring Kanye West. We have White Label, and we have Adam and Eve featuring The Dream. My personal favorites are Not for Radio and Simple Things. My overall conclusion, as I was saying earlier, each song represents a sin. Track 1 represents pride. Track 2, wrath. Track 3, gluttony. Track 4, lust. Track 5, greed. Track 6, sloth. And track 7, envy. And I thought it was a great album, and I gave it a 7 out of 7, which comes out to, a perfect score. So this was a pretty great album, great concept. I love the beat selection, so I thought it was a good idea for him to get Kanye West to be the one to produce his album, because a lot of people say one of the things that holds Nas back is his beat selections, and so he went and got one of the best producers in the game to create this album. So shouts out to him. But anyways, if you're a fan of Nas, be sure to pick up this album. If you enjoyed my review, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.